cases. Welcome back. We are back with another episode of Are UFOs Studying Us?, where we look at unredacted official records of UFOs.
Look at that glowing sign. It says open 24 hours, but my proboscis only needs 3 minutes.
Doc Ref ID A2,441,811. Department of Defense, United States of America. National Security Agency, Central Security Service. Fort George G. Meade, Maryland. 207556000. Institute for Policy Studies. Senho Tree. ATTN. 1601 Connecticut Avenue, Northwest. Washington District of Columbia, 20009. Serial J967393. The 15th of September, 1993. Dear Mr. Tree, this responds to your Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, request of the 26th of August, 1993, for copies of the intercepts of Soviet transmissions referenced in 3 published books. Such messages have been identified and reviewed by this agency as required by the FOIA and have been found to be currently and properly classified in accordance with Executive Order 12356. This information meets the criteria for classification as set forth in subparagraphs A2, A3, A4, and A8 of Section 1.3 and remains classified top secret as provided in Section 1.1 of Executive Order 12356. The information is classified because its disclosure could reasonably be expected to cause exceptionally grave damage to the national security. Because the information is currently and properly classified, it is exempt from disclosure pursuant to the first exemption of the FOIA, 5 U.S.C. Section 552b1. In addition, this agency is authorized by various statutes to protect certain information concerning its activities. We have determined that such information exists in these documents. Accordingly, those portions are also exempt from disclosure pursuant to the third exemption of the FOIA, which provides for the withholding of information specifically protected from disclosure by statute. The specific statutes applicable in this case are Title 18 U.S. Code 798, Title 50 U.S. Code 403-3C5, and Section 6, Public Law 86-36, 50 U.S. Code 402 Note. Since your request has been denied, you are hereby advised of this agency's appeal procedures. Any person denied access to information may, within 60 days after notification of the denial, file an appeal to the NSA-CSS Freedom of Information Act appeal. Authority. The appeal shall be in writing addressed to the NSA-CSS FOIA Appeal Authority, National Security Agency, Fort George G. Meade, Maryland. 207556000. The appeal shall reference the initial denial of access and shall contain, in sufficient detail and particularity, the grounds upon which the requester believes release of the information is required. The NSA-CSS Appeal Authority will respond to the appeal within 20 working days after receipt. 4. Sincerely, Linda I. Meller. Michael A. Smith, Director of Policy.
The tractor beam is locked, General. Zoom in. Enhance.
What in the blazing hell is that? Is that a rubber doll?
Doc Ref ID A2,441,811. Serial J967393. CC N51 N513. M/R. The requester asks for copies of Soviet transmissions known as Venona. During the database search, it was noted that we had just recently completed a similar request, J9837-9288, 373, J9837, 93, appealed to OGC Arnold Beichmann redacted. After reviewing this previous case, we respond to this requester in kind. All information is withheld pursuant to B1 and B3/all statutes. A copy of J983792 is enclosed for reference. B3 PL 86-36 redacted. B6 redacted. B3 PL 86-36 redacted. Redacted, the 9th of September 93. Doc Ref ID A2,441,811. Hoover Institution on War, Revolution, and Peace. Stanford, California 943056010. July 6, 1993. NSA-CSS FOIA Appeal Authority. National Security Agency, 9800 Savage Road. Fort George G. Meade, Maryland. 207556000. Dear Sirs, I hereby appeal to you for reversal of Lael A. Smith, Director of Policy, NSA-CSS, as detailed in serial J983792, dated the 11th of May 1993. I had requested in an application, dated the 16th of December 1992, records related to U.S. intercepted encoded Soviet messages, together with their decoded contents. I question the reasons for that negative decision in the light of the historic events which have occurred since August 19, 1991. I can understand wanting to keep secret the methods by which encoded messages were intercepted, or wanting to keep secret the names of informants, agents, or other individuals. It borders on the absurd for the U.S. government to insist on keeping secret the contents of intercepted messages today, when the former Soviet Union is itself spilling out dossiers of hitherto secret material to scholars and journalists. When a special authority under General Volkogonov has been set up by Russian President Boris Yeltsin to contract with Western library repositories for photocopying some 25 million hitherto secret documents of the Soviet Communist Party Central Committee. I am sure that the former Soviet Union isn't offering for sale all its secrets, but surely that would not, nor should it be a reason for withholding the intercepts I have requested. I ask that you reverse the decision embodied in serial J983792 and to respond to my appeal within 20 working days after receipt of this letter, which is being sent to you by special courier service. Sincerely, Arnold Beichman, Senior Research
So the
Fellow.
human says, "That's not a probe, that's my wife." And the alien says, "Well, it is now."
That is a classic. Cracks me up every cycle.
IPS, Institute for Policy Studies, 1601 Connecticut Avenue, NW, Washington District of Columbia, 20009. Phone, 2022-349382. FAX, 202-3877-915. Transnational Institute, Paulus Potterstraat 20, 1071 DA Amsterdam, the Netherlands, 0113120662668. Ref. Serial J967393. The 8th of November 1993. 16069593. November 19, 1993. National Security Agency. NSA CSS FOIA Appeal Authority. Fort Meade, Maryland, 2075-56000. Dear Sir or Madam, 1. Pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, 5 U.S.C. 552, 8 SEQ. As amended, I hereby appeal the National Security Agency decision of the 15th of September 1993, serial J967393, for the withholding of documents listed in my FOIA request of the 26th of August 1993. I believe my request for Venona intercepts should be reviewed in the light of the passage of time, since a. The portions I requested are over 45 years old, b. The messages originated from a regime that has ceased to exist, c. Virtually all the persons mentioned in the intercepts are deceased, and d. The existence of the intercepts is known both to the Russian government and the American public. Since these intercepts contain historically important factual material, I ask that they be released. I believe the exemptions listed in your denial must be narrowly applied, since the overriding objective of the FOIA is to maximize public access to agency records. Finally, I would like to point out that both the FOIA and Executive Order 12356 require a paragraph-by-paragraph review of documents of any length. I believe that under such a review, there must be some reasonably segregable material that can be released from the sections you are currently withholding. For these reasons, I believe my original request is appropriate, under the provisions of the FOIA and Executive Order 12356. I, therefore, ask that you continue to process my request of the 26th of August 1993 and release the withheld intercepts in the manner outlined in the original request. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call me at 2022-349-382X. 209. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much for your assistance in this matter. Sincerely, Sanho Tree, Research Associate. Printed on recycled paper. EFID, A2,441,811. Top SEC, The Venona Collection, B, 3PL, 86-36. Asterisk 700,000 messages held in 1391 shin boxes. Asterisk CRYPTANALYTIC worksheets asterisk 200 boxes of everything else, working aids, codebooks, GCHQ reports, redacted, FBI and CIA reports, machine runs, the Venona, translations, ABT 5 boxes, TICOM, Terex records, card files of every message and group, cover name books, CRYPTANALYTIC, studies and reports, Shaft, plus the 3-volume Benson/Phillips, history asterisk, plus about 7 boxes of Benson's notes and files. Knock denote. Copies of the history have been distributed to a group. Bill Crowell, M5, History Department, GCHQ, FBI, CIA, top secret.
And they traveled light years for this.
I wouldn't trust him with a water balloon, let alone whatever that is.
A 2441811. Venona FOIA issues. 1. CRYPTANALYTIC, technique and success. 2. GCHQ worked problem with US redacted. B. 1. B35 OUSC 3024I, plus some cases are UK people. 3. FBI and CIA, plus most. COVERNAME, idents made by FBI and CIA. 4. The MLAD case of current CI interest plus MLAD intertwined with other A-bomb Venona spies. 5. Privacy, including some famous living Americans. 6. Interconnection, translations, CA worksheets, traffic, codebooks. 7. Releasing SIGINT dated as late as August 1980 precedent. 8. Bill Crowell's view. 9. General Sudoplatov's book, Oppenheimer, et al. A 2441811. General Sudoplav's book, Special Tasks. In chapter on a bomb espionage, he says 1. The Rosenbergs not important spies. 2. Oppenheimer and Fermi spies for the KGB. Cover name star equals Oppenheimer, and sometimes both, Oppenheimer and Fermi. 3. KGB had 3 A-bomb nets. 4. KGB used illegals for A-bomb espionage. Safe house in Santa Fe. 5. Sudoplatov in charge of A-bomb espionage plus also Sudoplatov's version of Alger his story. A 2441811. Suggested course of action. 1. Deny the appeal. 2. In denying appeal, we might leave door open and say that we are currently writing a history of Venona. 3. Need to edit the history and then have it ready as both A. A short summary of the Venona story, B. The full version. 4. Continue to organize and catalog the Venona archives. 5. Invite a couple historians to a CT as an advisory commission, Arthur Schlesinger Jr.'s suggestion couple YRS ago. Maybe the Hoover Institute person could participate. Doc Ref ID, a 3,992,296. Unclassified, the Joseph McCarthy non-connection. Since the declassification and public release of Venona translations in July 1995, personnel from the Center for Cryptologic History have done considerable lecturing on Venona, the story of the decryption of KGB and GRU messages sent during World War II. Frequently, members of the audience ask how Venona might have influenced the anti-communist investigations by Congress in the late 1940s and early 1950s. Since many almanac readers may also be interested in this question, we would like to present an article written by a former CCH historian. While much remains to be researched on this question, this thought-provoking essay may help us to understand the role cryptology played or did not play in that time and in those events. Nime asterisk, 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 power sees inside bees anders time. Questions follow naturally from a chronological confluence of sensational events around 1950. The convictions of Judith Copeland of the Justice Department for conspiracy to commit espionage, and of Alger Hiss of the State Department for perjury related to Soviet espionage. The arrests for espionage of Klaus Fuchs, Harry Gold, David Greenglass, the Rosenbergs, and others, all intertwined with Senator Joseph McCarthy's claims that the federal government was crawling with communists, and investigations by House and Senate committees and subcommittees. As we now know, the Army Security Agency and its successor, NSA, had solved the cipher system used by the KGB, the Soviet Security Organization, and the GRU, the Soviet Military Intelligence Organization, for its messages during World War II, thanks to a cryptologic blunder by the Soviets. This cryptanalytic achievement allowed the Americans to read all or part of over 3,000 messages relating to Soviet espionage in the United States during the wartime period. These translations remained top secret until NSA made the decision to declassify and release them in July 1995. Today, no one should be surprised that interested observers ask questions about the relationship of these messages to the famous espionage cases and to congressional investigations of communism in the government. Could these translations, which listed over 200 Americans as assets and contacts of the KGB and GRU, many working in federal agencies, have played a role influencing these public events? Yes, of course. On the first point, they did. As we know now, Venona decrypts provided initial leads in the identification and investigation of the atomic spies Klaus Fuchs, Harry Gold, David Greenglass, and Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. But then, might an exposure to these translations have been the trigger which set off the Red Scare known as McCarthyism? And a related question. Lawyer Roy Cohn was the chief assistant prosecutor at the Rosenberg trial and later chief counsel to Senator McCarthy's investigating subcommittee. Might it be possible that Cohn was a link and a connection between Venona and McCarthy? Intriguing questions. No easy answers. First, the McCarthy issue. McCarthyism is defined in the dictionary as the, quote, political practice of publicizing accusations of subversion or disloyalty with insufficient regard to evidence, and or the use of unfair investigative and accusatory methods in order to suppress opposition. The generally accepted birthday of McCarthyism is the 9th of February 1950. On that date, Joseph McCarthy, the junior senator from Wisconsin, unclassified. Approved for release by NSA on March 13, 2025. FOIA case number 114591. Doc Ref ID A 3,992,296. Unclassified. Led a women's club audience in Wheeling, West Virginia, during an otherwise routine Lincoln Day speech, by waving in his hand a piece of paper on which he claimed were the names of 205 communist agents still employed in the State Department. Apparently, these charges were originally based on FBI findings in several hundred security cases. Most of the individuals were no longer with the department. But this speech ignited a firestorm of fear which lasted almost 4 years. The first story can be summed up like this. On the 7th of January 1950, McCarthy sought the advice of 3 dinner companions as to how he might reinvigorate his political reputation back home in Wisconsin. He wanted, as he allegedly put it, an issue with real sex appeal. After the group kicked around ideas about old age pensions and other topics, so the story goes, Father Edmund Walsh, Dean of Georgetown University's School of Foreign Relations, suggested the topic of communism in government. McCarthy reportedly jumped at the idea and is quoted as saying something equivalent to, "That's it, the government is full of communists. The thing to do is hammer them." The dinner was an actual event, but the other partners have always disagreed about the content of the conversation and its significance. The second story is less likely to be true, but it's more interesting. It comes from Roy Cohn's biography of McCarthy and is cited by other biographers, but its veracity cannot be verified. According to Cohn, McCarthy told him that a military intelligence officer, quote, a career man in his early 30s, became disturbed by the official neglect of a 2-year-old, 100-page FBI report, which summarized information on communist subversion in the United States. It allegedly contained disclosures of one-time Soviet agents turned informers, Elizabeth Bentley and Whittaker Chambers, who named dozens of federal officials as KGB and GRU spies. The G2 officer and some colleagues decided to approach 4 Republican senators, hoping one of them would take the facts to the American people. The first 3 refused. After talking with the officers for several hours, so the story goes, McCarthy read the report. He later told Cohn that he found the information fantastic and unbelievable. Despite that characterization, the next morning McCarthy telephoned one of his night visitors and told him I was buying the package. But the question remains, did the Venona translations promote in any way the birth and early growth of McCarthyism? No direct evidence has yet been found that they did. Some historians claim J. Edgar Hoover and other FBI officials fed information to McCarthy. If true, more than likely it came from the FBI field investigations, rather than from Venona. But it should be said that the testimony of Elizabeth Bentley and Whittaker Chambers was quite damning, and less classified. In other words, McCarthy did not need Venona. Now to the Roy Cohn connection, if any. Where might he fit in this puzzle? Did Cohn have access to Venona while serving as assistant prosecutor at the Rosenberg trial? And did he pass any of it to McCarthy? Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, on the basis of several Venona translations, were investigated by the FBI and arrested for espionage in the summer of 1950. They were tried in 1951, and after many appeals, including to the White House and the Supreme Court, were executed in 1953. Roy Cohn became the chief assistant prosecutor for the Rosenberg trial when it began in the spring of 1951. According to Alan Dershowitz, presiding trial judge Irving Kaufman had been informed of the existence of the Venona translations implicating the Rosenbergs, and Cohn found out about them from alleged secret phone conversations with Kaufman during the trial. But even if this story of illegal trial, unclassified, Doc Ref ID, a 3,992,296, unclassified, activity is true, it happened 13 months after McCarthy made the Wheeling speech and half a year after Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were arrested. Moreover, the evidence is pretty clear that Roy Cohn did not even meet Joseph McCarthy until the night of the senator's re-election victory in November 1952 and did not go to work for him until early 1953. The question of McCarthy's access to Venona material then is an intriguing possibility, but, so far, it is still nothing more than a possibility, and an unlikely one at that, based on materials contained in the Venona brochures published by the CCH. Additional material from Robert J. Lamphere and Tom Shackman, The FBI KGB War, New York, Random House, 1986, David M. Oshinsky, A Conspiracy So Immense, The World of Joe McCarthy, New York, The Free Press, 1983. John G. Adams, Without Precedent, The Story of the Death of McCarthyism, New York, W. W. Norton and Company, 1983. Thomas C. Reeves, The Life and Times of Joe McCarthy, A Biography, New York, Stein and Day, 1982. Lately Thomas. When Even Angels Wept, The Senator Joseph McCarthy Affair, New York, Morrow, 1973. Roy Cohn McCarthy, New York, New American Library, 1968. Nicholas von Hoffman, Citizen Cohn, New York, Doubleday, 1988. And Alan Dershowitz, Rosenbergs Were Guilty and Framed, a column, the 25th of July, 1995. Unclassified.
The invasion fleet is approaching faster than anticipated.
We must focus on this quadrant immediately.
Doc Ref ID, a 3,516,949. Top Secret Umbra. Date, the 22nd of May, 1980. Reply to M6, ATTN of United States Government. Subject, Memorandum. Serial, M603980J. Review of special material relating to Rosenberg case, U2, DDIR1, U. On the 21st of May, I reviewed subject material per your request. 2. TSC. As a result of this review, it is my opinion that we should not release this material because of the following. A. The release of this SIGINT, derived from Soviet intercept, could set an undesirable precedent. It was obviously published as end product by the British government, GCHQ, and as such cannot be unilaterally declassified by the U.S. Circa. Information contained in these reports involve other countries, and its release could prove embarrassing to the U.S. group. D. Dates included on material show current exploitation by AE. Certain of the agents revealed in this material may still be under observation. F. There are Privacy Act considerations. G. Even though articles have been written on this subject, no official public government confirmation has been made. H. SCCO. If, in spite of the above considerations, a decision is made to release this material, it could be sanitized using the SECDEEF-approved declassification guidelines, which involve such things as Hat A. Concurrence of British government to sanitize this material and agreement on procedures to be followed. B. Removal of all British footprints, classified by NSA 699M-129-2. The 20th of May 2010. Review on Top Secret Umbra. Buy U.S. savings bonds regularly on the payroll savings plan. Approved for release by NSA on March 13, 2025. FOIA case number 114591. Optional form. No. 10. Rev. 7-76. GSAFPMR. 41 CFR. 101 to 11.65010 to 112. Doc Ref ID. A 3,516,949. Top Secret Umbra C. Deletion of agents' names as appropriate. D. Removal of COMINT code words. E. Protection of COMINT sources and methods. Serial M603980. B6222. Redacted. Harold E. Joslin. Captain U.S. Navy. Ret. Special Assistant to Chief. Cryptologic Archives. History and Declassification. Top Secret Umbra. End of document. If you have enjoyed this video and the time it takes me, review these documents and then bring them to you. Then please like this video, share it, and leave your comments in the comment section. Please share this so as many people as possible can hear these messages, and hopefully these articles can finally be heard. As always, I will see you next time. Stay safe, stay alert, and stay suspicious.
I don't care if it's European cut. This is a top secret facility. Now put your uniform back on.
Now a quick word from our sponsor. Revolving Light new from Proton. Spring Sale. To celebrate the start of spring, we've launched our very own spring sale, making it the perfect time to upgrade your digital security setup. For a limited time, you, my audience, can enjoy VPN Plus, 65% off, Mail Plus, 40% off, Pass Plus, 50% off, Drive Plus, 40% off. This is a great moment to highlight Proton's privacy and security as part of our spring refresh, whether that's securing accounts, cleaning up digital habits, or upgrading everyday tools. So buy Proton VPN now and use code CEEJAYREACTSMEDIA at checkout to get your spring refresh deal today. Now please share this so as many people as possible can hear these messages. See you next time. Stay safe, stay alert, and stay suspicious. Thank you, Proton VPN, for sponsoring this video.